the glory,
but E-Buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing races.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. You know?
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about
it. Here we go. $100 right here. $100 throw. Oh no!
I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to show number 298 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, aka Lefty Great, and we'll have Maximus Mortimus, and we have a new guest. We have a new vice. He's been on the podcast before, but now he's part of the NNRC team. And we're going to talk about Euros, a little bit about Buggyland, race recaps, and in this podcast, because there will be a 299, and in the 299, we're going to get into silly season and all the drama at the Euros. So if you're a patron, you're going to get early access to all the drama and all the silly season news that's going around in my brain, because I have unretired. But we'll talk about unretiring with Max when we get to the silly season part, you know. But with that said, we're going to be talking about the Euros mostly this week, and obviously the 299 will be about what happened at the Euros with drama-wise. And of course, we're going to dive deep into silly season and geek out on that for a little while. But before I do that, I need to say thank you to everybody out there. Thank you to all of the NNRC squad around the world. Without you guys, I can't do this. Thank you for all the support. We greatly appreciate it. Also, thank you to all the patrons and YouTube members. You guys will get early access of this podcast. You get early access of the juicy TMZ side of podcasts. And yeah, we're going to get ready for all of this. And it should be good. We're trying to do little small, like shorter podcasts, like an hour and a half at the most. You know, I'm not saying we're not going to do another 5-hour podcast at some point. It's probably going to happen. But we're looking at doing things a little bit different going into 2025, and this is part of it. And we definitely need the help from the patrons. It's something that we haven't really been putting focus on, and it definitely helps support this podcast. And my dream is that the patron is just booming at one point and lots of content going on there. But the patrons are getting lots of content as well. If you're not a patron, links for that in the written description of this podcast. Also, we can't do this without sponsors. Thank you to these companies. It is coming up to 2025. We're going to be looking for sponsors. We have some new campaigns coming on. If you're a small company, we have some great things worked out for you to get ultimate exposure on the podcast for your product. If you're releasing a new product, let us know as well. We're going to be open for a lot of business coming into 2025. So we're just getting prepared for all of that. I want to say a big thank you to these companies for all their support. You can find links for all of these in the written description of this podcast. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Corsa Tech USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, KLINIK RC, Stacked RC, Racecraft USA. Shout out to the Elite RC Productions crew, Carl RC, and Donovan RC. You can also find our other affiliate sponsors in the written description of this podcast. Remember, showing them some love shows the podcast some love. But also, for this month of October, you can save 20% off all your KLINIK RC orders by using the promo code NNRC. So capital NNRC. You will save 20% this October. Go over to the KLINIK, spend some money. It shows that you heard about it on the podcast. Save some money. Get some cool titanium stuff. They got some cool, his car stand. Woo! That is money. The Ford and car stand. I like that. Good stuff, Tony. Good stuff. Also, I'd like to say shout out to our drivers, David Runafalk, Robert Battier, Alexander Hagberg, who was over there testing over at the World's Track testing there. That's coming up soon. Maddie G, Peku Evening, Una Hutton, and Mason Fuller. There is a plethora of birthdays out here. I'm sorry if I missed them. But I can't go through them all today. But I do want to say some shout outs and some condolences. First off, In more somber news, I want to say our condolences go out to Ed Riley and his family. So Ed Riley passed away while I was actually traveling to the Georgia Peach State Classic. And he was a stalwart in the North Carolina RC community, earned the track Overcash RC. They had a benefit race for him, I think, this weekend past. So the NNRC and myself personally, my condolences go out to Ed, his family, and of course, my North Carolina RC family. I know a lot of people were talking about that at Georgia Peach State Classic. We're going to touch on Georgia Peach State Classic too. It feels like I was there so long ago, but it was only 2 weeks ago. Also, Anthony Westergaard, man, get well soon. If you guys don't know, Westergaard of Factory Tracks, a friend of mine, he made up the name RCT, called me RCTMZ, so I embraced it. Had a bad motocross accident. We wish him all the best, get him better. We also saw that his son, Mason, done really well and won this past weekend. So send your love out to Westergaard, and hopefully he gets well soon and gets back in the Bobcat and does more RC this time. So yeah. All right. Before I go any further, we're going to bring our guest in. I'm going to do some talking with them. I do have a mail call, and this was sent from a good friend of mine. His name is Javon Mallory. I've known Javon, his dad, his girlfriend Lexi. They're always at the races. They haven't been too much this year. They're kind of taking a break, but he said he is coming back. And he has his Mallory Performance products, and he was like, Lefty, I want to make you something for the podcast. You know, him and I have been friends for a while. Cool dude, like Javon, awesome dude. Dad's cool, girlfriend's cool, love him to death. And he does aluminum stuff. So he's made these cool, there's AE small, AE starter box. He's made some plates for that because there's an AE driver. But he makes custom wheel wrenches. He said, Keenan, I want to make you one. He made one for Max. He made one for JQ, which I gave him to at the Worlds. And this is what he sent me. So I want to show it. I want to show you guys what it looks like because I think it looks pretty cool. And, he's a cool dude who loves RC. And he's doing some cool things. So you can check it out and get a custom wheel wrench. But let's switch over cameras. Let's open it up. Let's show it to you real quick. All right. We're getting all fancy. My dull razor blade. There you go. Javon Performance, precision machining, custom parts. I've had this since the Worlds, actually. So let's open it up. Oh, my razor blade's just too dull. Hold on. And then, of course, it's sticking to my awesome magnetic Cow RC mat, which you can also save 10% on with using the promo code NNRC. All right, so let's have a look at it. All right, so we got Mallory Performance Racing. I assume that's what it means. And then he did it. Look at that. Let's see if you can see it. He did the No Name RC podcast. Maybe my light's not that good. But there you go. He custom printed No Name RC podcast. Of course, there's his logo. Let me go screen and screen. Let's see if you can see it. So there you go. Probably can't see it. I'll take some pictures and put it up on the Instagram. But thank you, Javon. This is really cool. All custom made by himself. And it's really cool, man. Cool dude. Like what he's doing. And yeah, there we go. No Name. It's perfect too. The logo is perfect. Like it's a long logo with the microphone. That's awesome. I don't even want to use this. It's so light. Awesome. Thank you, Javon. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Check out Javon's shop, Mallory Performance Racing. I believe that's R for racing. And get some stuff from him. He does carbon fiber, aluminum, and various other etching. If you need to get something etched and done, check him out. Check out Javon Mallory. Thank you, Javon. And Max thanks you, and Javon Joe Q thanks you too, because they saw it earlier. All right, enough jibber jabbering. Let's get ready. I know you guys are all here to talk about RC and all that type of stuff. Let's bring Will and Max in.
Stop scrolling, you nerd. Learn something new with invisible speed.
Are you the driver of this car?
Yes, sir. Why?
You just won a free alignment.
I had my car touched by JQ, and now I don't feel safe.
Stop scrolling, you nerd. Learn something new with invisible speed.
Are you the driver of this car?
Yes, sir. Why?
You just won a free alignment.
I had my car touched by JQ, and now I don't feel safe.
I can say that he did improve his time 10 seconds and his best lap.
Last question. Would you recommend the invisible speed course?
Yeah, for sure. Spend your money. Good spend.
If you want to learn more and make your speed visible, stop scrolling.
Stop scrolling. Also, don't forget, you're running out of a chance to pre-order your limited supply of invisible speed setup tools. You can go over to invisiblespeed.net and pre-order your setup tools and make your speed visible. Links for that all in the written description. All right, everybody. So joining us this week, obviously, is Max Mort. You guys all know him, infamous tripod. And now we have who's been on the podcast before. He's kind of joining he is joining the NNRC team. He's going to be helping us out in 2025. He's also going to be kind of spearheading our 10 scale program here. And because he's a 10 scale racer, and I've known him for many, many years. Will Venables. Hello, Will. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, pretty good. I'm pretty much almost recovered from Buggyland, but
that's right.
So
that's
there
right.
we go.
We was at Buggyland this past weekend. Well, you was at Buggyland and I was virtually there. People thought I was there though. Some people were like, "Oh, you're there." I'm like, "I'm not there. I'm not there." I would like to go there one day. I've never been to the track. We'll talk about that, but the track was awesome. But yeah, Will's going to kind of be joining us in 2025. Is going to help us out with another thing we're going in. We're really up in the ante, polishing up the podcast going into 2025 and everything that we do. And Will's going to be a big part of that. And he's going to be on the podcast when he can, and maybe even doing his own podcast with us when it comes to 10 scale. Max, you are back in school full time?
Yep.
No more shit factory work.
No more shit factory. I graduated from shit factory. No, I school's back on. So now full-time school. Surprisingly busy. I thought like, okay, work ends, school's now, so I have time. Fuck, still no time. Every day today, every day this week, I've been doing some shit. So, we're over 10 minutes, so I can start swearing.
Yes, you can start.
Yeah, I forgot because you did the intro by yourself this time, so I'm all bamboozled.
There we go.
Yeah.
I bamboozled you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bamboozle you in silly season.
I have to say this. When I was talking with you guys, and you said Will was going to Buggyland, I wasn't expecting you to be on the mic.
Yeah,
like, this was like your first event. This was like the first event you was doing RC's like what you call media stuff. Commentary, and then you just straight on the mic, and you was actually like pretty good. I think you worked pretty well, considering the fact that you have a lag too, because Keenan's in middle of nowhere in midst of hurricanes, and Will's right.
No hurricanes on her, buddy. No hurricanes on her.
No.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. Yeah, and that kind of threw me into the deep end with that. I was kind of expecting going to say that maybe I'd co-host with Keenan or something, because I've known Keenan for years and I've been on a few podcasts, so I think I'm okay behind the mic. But then Matt was like, yeah, so Keenan isn't on till 12 and Bear Mike is at 7 a.m. on like the Friday for practice. And I was like, so just talk till like Keenan comes.
You know, the issue is that the thing about like when we do American races like that, we have an RD that's actually commentating on the race, so we could put him on. But I know that those races, like our European races, don't really commentate much. You know, they may call out lap times and stuff like that. But we're going to talk about Buggyland. It was a good race. Truggy race was great. Nitro Buggy race was not the best, but the best for Angaru. Also, I'm back in studio. I'll be here till November. I'm headed out for AMS, Carpet Champs, and a few other races in November. And I have some interviews lined up over the time. Some top interviews that I've been wanting to get, like Mayfield and Spencer Rifkin reached out to us to have an interview as well. So I'm looking forward to talking to Spencer. All right. So Max, you threw an audible at me. I thought in this podcast we was going to talk about the Euros, but we're going to save that for show 199 that our patrons will get early access to. This podcast is not going to include any silly season talk, but we are going to talk about the RCA EP electric powered off-road Australian Champions that Spencer Rifkin and Chase Lemieux ran to. Beautiful track. We'll touch on Asian Buggy Championships, another beautiful track. I actually plan on getting JQ in her to talk more about that. So I don't want to go too deep into it. And of course, we had Buggyland this past weekend. And I don't know, whatever comes to mind. And then on show number 199, we're going to delve into the Euros because it was a couple weeks ago. We're going to delve into some of the drama that happened there. And then we're going to take a quick look at silly season because much to your chagrin, Max, I have unretired and I am back in the silly season game. So you can start getting all your fallacies and all your blasphemous comments and accusations.
Look at my surprised face.
Excuse me?
Look at my surprised face that you are not.
As soon as the announcement was made, I just couldn't, it just drew me back in.
You know, when you said that, oh, I'm retiring from silly season, I took it like a heroin addict saying, like putting the last needle in and saying, oh, I'm done after this one, you know?
Jesus, man.
Like,
you couldn't find a better comparison than that?
No, dude, like I have to say, you're addicted, but it's not like you don't need an intervention yet. But when you start getting these crazy theories, I think me and Will, we're going to have to do an intervention.
I got some crazy theories.
Let's hope it doesn't go there.
I got some crazy theories coming up. Crazy
and
theories
by the way, it's not $199, it's $299. That's the next episode. So we got a plan for something for 300, dude. We're heading 300 episodes.
I put us back 100 podcasts.
Yeah.
Getting excited about silly season. We do have to do something special for show 300. You know what? We still haven't picked a winner for Whip It Wednesday, and I have to bring that back.
Oh yeah, we can pick it on at the end of the show. I'll figure it out who won.
All right. So up next, let's get into the nitty gritty here. High Tech RC News brought to you by High Tech RC. As you can see, they just released their new DB950 SW Ultra Premium Brushless Steel Gear Servo. They just released this, I believe, as well. Let's go through some of the specs in this. The new brushless, that's a long name, DB950 SW is the latest addition to our DB series servo line. All high-tech DB series servos have been designed using our cutting-edge custom engineering, combining industry-leading high-resolution, state-of-the-art ultra-response technology with a 32-bit MCU and 12-bit ADC for unprecedented programmability and flexibility, along with ultra-efficient and powerful brushless motors. These servos deliver significant smoother movement. The power line operates from 4.8 to 8.4 voltage range, allowing the use of all common battery chemistries without the need for adapters or regulators. Let's see. It also has, actually the release 2, because they also have the digital wide voltage cordless servo, the D952W. So let's look at some of the specs real quick. So this servo has, hold on, the specs are right here, but they went missing. But the 950TW has 402 ounces of torque at 6 volts, 486 ounces at 7.4 volts. It has titanium gears and a cordless motor. And yeah, I need to get me some of these. I need a car to put them in. That's what I need. So thank you, High Tech. For
I think you need a lot of things before you can put in a servo.
I need a track to drive it on.
Yeah.
So there we go. But thank you, High Tech, for your continued support. You guys can check out High Tech's links in the written description of this podcast. All right. Let's get cracking on news. 1 second, everybody. So go ahead, Max. Lead us off, if you may.
Well, let's start off with our little promo, right?
Oh yeah, because we do have a race promo.
We do have a little bit of a race promo, because we have the
AZ Oktoberfest,
as well as the Outlaw Series Pro line. So I don't know. Did you have some kind of read for these?
Oh yeah, so yeah, the AZ Oktoberfest is taking place at the Nitro Compound in Maricopa, Arizona. It is actually October 18th to 20th. It's if you haven't seen this track, it's absolutely beautiful. It's huge. It's humongous. Tony Schumacher and those guys have done a good job. Ryan Mayfield, Spencer Rivkin, Frankie Contreras, and a couple other fast guys. Spencer Hecker. They're all going out there to race. If you're in the mood for a race, you're in the West Coast, go check them out. It's coming up in 2 weeks' time. And then, obviously, I think what Tony's trying to do is doing a little series because he also has a FTCW race. I think it's FTC, he calls it. That's in February. But they're also going to do us. They're going over to. If you go to the next one, please, Max. They're going over to Proline track, which is an iconic track, which we have actually been to, Max, one time. And
I was there.
yes, we was there for a JBRL. It was a big JBRL. It's the Outlaw Series at Proline. That's happening November 22nd to 23rd. And yeah, so lots of good racing going out there on the West Coast later on in the year. Obviously, it's California. They have really good weather for all that stuff. So go check it out. If you guys have any questions about AZ Oktoberfest or the Outlaw Series at Proline, contact the Nitro Compound or contact Tony Schumacher on Facebook. All righty. Also, let's have a look at. I think this is the most disappointing thing I've seen, but kind of inevitable at the same time, and that is the last track layout at Thunder Alley, which is a shame because this is such an iconic and beautiful track. You and I have been there, Max. You've been there a couple of times to practice. I've actually never even turned a lap on this track. Been there many times. Love this track. It's been around since the early 2000s, but it's going to be its last year there, and it's not because of lack of attendance or anything. It's because the park wants it. It's in a park, so the park wants it back, and I guess to do other things. So it's quite unfortunate. Not only we lose RC tracks to lack of numbers, but now we're losing them to, I guess, other bigger sports. So it's inevitable.
Yeah, but I mean, the harsh reality is this track was in a quite central location. It was near. It wasn't like a big, but they had like restaurants nearby. It was in a park. You had camping nearby, all this kind of stuff. So it is very like likely that more popular attractions take part. For example, like you remember the track in Vegas. The track probably still there, but just because some businessmen did some calculations, they're like, RC is not turning in the money. We might as well invest this into something else. And that's kind of what happens with these tracks that are in central locations like this. And that's why, we have the Nitro Compound, which is arguably in the middle of nowhere, but it's a great facility.
Well, it is in the desert, but it's like the backyard of Tony Schumacher. So that's where he lives. But it's actually not too far from stuff, I'm told. So Maricopa is actually a big city. Not a big city, but a decent sized city. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Our thoughts go, I mean, if you didn't get a chance to go to Thunder Alley, I feel sorry for you because it's like one of those tracks. If you're an 8-scale enthusiast, it's like pilgrimage that you have to go on when you go to California, and that's going to be gone.
Yeah, but I mean, this especially in America, somewhat in Europe as well, but especially in America, I feel like there's many of these. Few, like I already named the tracks of Las Vegas, and then other one, quite recent one, would be the. I'm blanking on it now. I just had it in my mind.
Well, there's been a lot of 10-scale tracks closing in the USA. 10-scale.
Yeah, OCRC was one.
OCRC,
very iconic facility, host of really race, and
too expensive, man. California's expensive.
But even that was not necessarily because of price. It was because of other interests taking over.
Well, other interests come in and they pay more money.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Usually these guys get these rents for very cheap, right? Because nobody else wants to rent it. Then the area builds up. It gentrifies, as they say. And then people want to, obviously rent goes up and people want to either sell or they want to do things. So it's unfortunate. I hope if they continue Thunder Alley, I hope they make something as awesome as they once had. All right. So I didn't see this, Max. This is pretty cool. I'm going to add it to the screen. EFRA, for the first time, EFRA is making all the event host proposals public so you, the racers, can access the options and let your federation EFRA reps know where you would like to race. Remember, EC venues are not chosen by EFRA, but 100% by your federation. So get involved and let your voice be heard. You can check out your presentations from each organizer here, along with the EFRA AGM info. And the first comment I see is by you. This is exactly what we need. A democratic federation. The key is always transparency in all decision making. I have to say that this is actually a good idea. Very good.
I mean, this is to me, it's like a no-brainer because I've been kind of pondering this thing about EFRA, because it is 100% democratic. So if you want to go to the AGM, you ask your federation, hey, can I go? And they say, yeah. And then you just go. There's not like a limit of how many people can go. Like you can send as many as you want, as long as your own federation agrees to it. So be it Sweden or Finland or whatever country. So it's not like EFRA control anything, but the issue is that people are not eager to go and they don't know they can go. And I think, the Zoom thing was a big help for that. Unfortunately, some people within EFRA, like members of EFRA, not necessarily the heads of anything, want to make it so that there isn't like possibility to Zoom. I mean, they have their arguments, which are somewhat valid. But all in all, I think this is one big step forward. So having all this public before the fact, so people can actually see what goes on. And even here we can see there's multiple choices for EFRA's Euros and EFRA GPs and so on here. So
what's your thoughts, Will? You were a European, you're a Brit now.
He's still a European, but he's not in the EU. Yeah, but BRCA actually, this is a little bit of gossip. BRCA is trying to form their own thing, so they are trying to leave EFRA.
I heard this too.
Yeah, so BRCA wants to leave EFRA. And it would be like ROAR, BRCA, EFRA, if FOMAR and FEMCA and so on, which is, to me, it sounds ridiculous. Yeah, it's like Brexit from RC as well, getting used to it.
Thoughts on this, on the EFRA meetings being public and choices to tracks? I think it's great because then you can see how things are done and then people can stop complaining about the same tracks get the same things, but also the ones that are bidding. Your thoughts, Will? You're a European racer. 10 scale?
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing. The fact that the racers can see what's going to be proposed and what people are thinking. I mean, I know Max said he had his, well, it wasn't Max's idea, but I personally think the AGM should be online, or at least there's a way that everyone can have their own say. Just because, people have lives and they can't dedicate a weekend or something to go travel to, I don't know where it is in Europe, but you'd have to fly and get hotels and just to put a proposal in. I think
it was
like
in Brussels this year. So
it's not even an RC race. It's just I'm not taking anything away from the federation because I know that they do amazing things. But I also think, if you're able to put it online, you can get a more accurate representation of what people actually want moving forward.
Exactly.
And I think that's what you really need for the hobby. And I know there's a lot of higher ups that kind of, I don't want to say are stuck in their own ways, but I'm going to kind of leave it at that for now. But I think, that's like...
They're stuck in their old ways. Yeah,
and I think and everyone's got their own views and everyone needs to hear it. Because I know the last few years, especially last year for Temscale, a lot of people weren't happy. Even before the race itself, people kind of had their own views. So in my honest opinion, I really think they should make it more online so they can get everyone involved. I think you're better off having way more people involved and have it online than having less people and just being in a location where you have to be there to have a say or vote.
Yeah, and then the issue is that for people who don't know how the AGM works, you have every single class has their meeting so you have the general meeting, which everyone is present there, and then that general meeting gets split into classes or sections rather. So you have the off-road 1/8 off-road section, you have the electric section, and so on. But all of these meetings go on at the same time. So let's say Finland sends in a representative. This representative has to choose which section he takes part in. So let's say Finland has, proposed rules for 8-scale off-road, but this person wants the rules that we have proposed the 5th scale off-road to pass. Obviously, they go to the 5th scale one. So it's kind of like you have to think like, okay, who are we sending and which section does he go to? And then make the decision based on that. And if you wanted to cover all sections, you'd have to send, I think, 4 or 5 people there, which is like totally unrealistic for any federation. And I think that's the main issue, why we should have the opportunity to be through online. But yeah, that was just a side note. All in all, the news is very good that we are going towards that more transparency and more sort of people understand what's actually happening. Because the the goal of EFRA, all the people who make those decisions in EFRA, is to make it better for everyone. But the issue is they just have a very narrow group of people making those decisions. So also that doesn't satisfy the majority a lot of the time. Sometimes it does, but not all the time.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff by EFRA. Raw can pay attention to this. All right, Max, you had to geek out on some stuff. You had to geek out
let me bring it up because
I got it up.
You got it up?
Yes. You just give me instructions, good buddy.
Okay. So you might as well go ahead. There wasn't anything too crazy about this. It was nice features. Show some of the features, Keenan, if you may. So the chassis is one of the coolest ones. So instead of having this sort of 2-pod style that a lot of the pen cars have.
You didn't even tell people what this is. This is the X-Ray new 12 scale.
Yeah, you brought it up, so I thought you introduced it, but I was still focused on starting to explain. Yeah, X-Ray X12 pen car 2025 edition. So obviously we all know Schumacher and Automatic have kind of been the dominant ones. Hagberg sneaked in a podium at the Worlds, but really wasn't a factor at the Worlds for the win. So X-Ray has upped their game a bit, some new innovative stuff. So as I said, instead of having those 2 sections of the chassis, you have the pod and the chassis. Now you have one full chassis. You still have the similar geometry, but it's done in a little bit different way. So in terms of geometry, it doesn't change much, but in terms of like looks and the way you do the damping, it does change. So you have this pod that's actually above the chassis, and then you have the spring at the very back, instead of having the classic style damper. One cool thing about this is actually the fact that you can tune the anti-squat of the rear pod. Technically you could have done this on all the ones before, but this one is the tuning is a bit more straightforward. So it'll be interesting to see how this tuning aid will sort of affect, because the pan car tuning in the past has been quite simple.
This is still simple too. It's pretty simple. Like the whole design. It's
pretty simple, but yeah, it is very simple. But the thing is that now you can actually independently tune a lot of this stuff, which it was not the case before. Let's move on to some of the other stuff. We can move by this. It's just their new pod design. This one as well. If they have pictures of the shock, this one, yeah. So they've actually went away from having a standard shock. X-Ray was one of those brands who still had a standard shock. They've kind of went away of it. And this one, they have a through-hole shock shaft. And the shock doesn't have a spring in it because the spring is at the back, as I explained before. So a little bit different. Still, it's not that different from those damping cylinders that, for example, they have for the roll or what Schumacher has. But it does offer a bit more tunability, as you still have an actual piston instead of just those damping shafts with the slots. Can you go forward if we have something new worthwhile? I don't want to go too into detail with this. Yeah, here you can see the before and after. So before you had a standard style shock. Now you have that shock shaft going through. So you're not actually changing the volume within the shock through the damping. The volume stays constant. So you're only relying on the movement for the damping, and you don't have this pressure increase within the damping range. Yeah, this one kind of just, they have different springs. You can go ahead. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. You can go forward if they have pictures of this.
This is a great presentation by X-Ray, by the way.
Yeah, they do this every time. This is
really
sort of
good.
This is one of the things that I think all brands should do, but obviously they don't have a presentation team like X-Ray does. they have like 3 people just doing these all year long.
I mean, they've gone into quite a lot of detail here. Different various kingpins available. This is you in is this so okay? So this adjusts the kingpin angle, right? The KPI, right?
No, actually. So
Okay.
the thing about pan cars is you kind of don't have front suspension in the traditional sense. So this is basically just camber and caster adjustments. So you adjust the angle of that pin, and then you just have the knuckle moving up and down on that.
Wow,
Let
this
me
is
see
a
if
very
they have
detailed.
pictures. Yeah, you could go forward. Let me see. Yeah, here they have it. Okay, you can
So
go
this
back
is
one picture.
One picture, the side link mounting system. Give us a quick synopsis of this.
So this was an interesting one because I haven't seen it on the traditional style of pan cars. You had the possibility to adjust the angle, like from side view, you could adjust the side links height. So you could have different angle from the side view, but I have not seen, or at least registered, that some cars would have had this side link mounting angle from the top view. So by this, you essentially what you do is you have active ride height, or in the case of X-ray, because instead of having a pivot that is fixed, they have a tube which in the rear pod sits in. So you have a ball stud, and the ball stud goes into this tube, and that connects the rear pod and the chassis. And when the car rolls, the wheelbase of the car changes actively. And by tuning the side links angle from the top view, you can adjust how dramatic of a change this is. So from their explanation, the more in you do it, the more or less actually the wheelbase changes, and then vice versa. So you can have a car that sort of generates rear grip mid corner when it rolls because the wheelbase gets shorter. So this is a very interesting tuning option that I have not registered.
No wonder you're going into science mode about this. There's so much crazy stuff on this little chassis.
Yeah. And this picture here is you can go back a few, so we can see from the side view the links.
Okay, yeah. I see it.
So this one is the side view. So this is sort of a more classic tuning option. And what this does is effectively it's a rear end steer. So if you have the links so that the front is angled up, once you steer once the car rolls, the rear end kind of steers in opposite direction as the inside gets longer and the outside gets shorter. Mm-hmm. So you steer in the opposite direction, but then if you have the front side of lower, then you have more, like you have effectively rear end steering. So you steer the car from the rear as well as the front does. So this is like, so
does it actually physically move the rear a little bit or no?
Yeah, it actually moves because you have the center pivot stays still, but then the inside goes less straight or more straight, and the outside.
Really? Well, how much you think it happened? How much of a turn do you think that makes? Like, can you physically see it?
Probably not able to see it unless you go into but on the track, definitely you could feel it. Like,
I'm gonna have to ask Hagberg about this.
You should ask Alex, and actually that would be an interesting topic, going into detail, because
it's been a long time since I've had him on the podcast. Maybe
that would be fun, but. This is kind of one of the most interesting things about pan cars is just understanding how the hell all of this works takes quite a bit of effort because it's so complicated. Even though it looks simple, what happens to the car is very complicated because you have so many linkages going.
It's crazy. You don't realize how much tech goes into that. Will, you done any 12 scale racing over there in the UK or just all off-road?
I did 2 race ratings with GT12, which is kind of more of like I don't say a beginner class, but it's kind of marketed as a kind of a beginner pan car class here in the UK. So I've driven them, but they're like I think Wadre was like a 13.5, but they're
Not so
pretty
fast,
fun,
dude.
but like
Not so fast.
yeah, but like you just don't use the brakes. But like as an off-road guy, like I'm on the brakes, so it felt weird where like your only way of basically slowing down is basically laying off the throttle a tiny bit, and you just throw in. But they're so sensitive to setup. I mean, the guys.
Dude, they're so sensitive to everything. Like
they are.
I was watching the guys at the Worlds. They were like taping up half their tires, putting, just watching. Like I watch Alex a lot, and I watch the other guys. It's for something that's so simple. It's so much involved, right? It's so much simpler. The design is so much simpler than what we do, but it's so fucking involved. It's so involved.
Yeah, it was so much. It was like the best. So basically, with those kingpins like you saw in there, like you basically the way you kind of adjust certain aspects, you literally just put shock oil in it. Just like you know how you normally change your shot, you just put different oil in, but it kind of makes sense when you have a piston and so on. But here, you literally just put different shock around it. But I think this guy, like, he had shock oil like really thin or whatever, and then we changed it, and it went from like a car like handing like a bag of crap to like this thing actually drives.
Crazy.
It was crazy how sensitive they were, and like obviously like with any class, they were more so on the road. When they're actually set up, they're really good. But when there's something wrong with it, you tweak it. There's like no point. It's just so much to it.
All right. Well, up next, we're gonna do. Are we done? Oh, that's it, Matt. You finished geeking out on 12 scale?
Yeah, I've been thinking of this for a while because after Automatics released their A12, I've been kind of geeking out on the possibility of innovation in pan cars. So I think I have to do a video with someone who actually knows it. Maybe I need to do one with Alex. I don't know him quite well. But
there you go.
But maybe I need to.
We all want Max to make more videos. We all want you to. All right. Well, let's get into some race recaps. We're going to go over a few of the races, big races that happened over the weeks. Not the Euros, because Max threw an audible. We're going to talk about that in show 299. But that is brought to you by Corsa-Tech USA and Techno-RC. Corsa-Tech is your one-stop shop for all things Corsa-Tech in the USA. You can all purchase all your Corsa-Tech range of products for nitro and electric-powered vehicles and accessories used by world and European champion Robert Battier. Established in 2022, Corsa-Tech was founded by Adrian Bertin, a three-time IFMAR world champion, and Oscar Jensen, 5 times European champion. Corsa-Tech is made by racers for racers, all available in the USA. You can find a link for Corsa-Tech in the written description below. Hit them up. Let them know you heard about it on the No Name RC podcast. And get that going. Also, a big shout out to Techno for all the continued support. And we're gonna have Techno's top driver on her for a one-on-one interview, hopefully next week. Ryan Mayfield.
Techno RC. Techno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance 8-scale, 10-scale, nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Techno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Techno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.technorc.com.
Thank you, Techno RC, for your continued support. And I think we're going to go right into this. If you want to get any techno stuff, they have links for that. You can also find them at your local hobby shops. It's a very popular brand. Let's go. See, look, I'm getting confused. I went to show 299 notes. Thanks, Max. Max has extensive notes. All right, we're going to talk about the last round of the Asian Buggy Championships, which was held September 26th to 29th in Westside Raceway, West Jakarta, Indonesia. And you know what? I'm not even going to talk about it. This is probably the best track I've seen in a long time. Period. Period. Let's just have a look at it. Let's enjoy it. And let's talk about it. Max, I know you're all excited because we're seeing a resurgence of the Japanese in 1/8 scale RC racing. What a beautiful track. Oh my goodness. You can go to, I think Scotty has it on his YouTube channel and we have it on, I'll let you know in a second. This is, I believe this is RC Race Media who's doing the coverage, but beautiful facility. I talked to JQ about it. He loved it. Man, I really like the whole, I really like the ABC championships, Oh, wow. Is that the driver stand over there? Or is that for viewers? Or is that for people to watch? That must be that Because that'd be weird if that was the driver stand, wouldn't it? No, that's not the driver stand. There's no pit lane there. So they have a spot just for people to watch, VIP section. Man, this track is look how it grooved up. Like, look at how, wow. Beautiful. Look how off camera that is. That's a really great shot. Awesome track, dude. Awesome track. We saw, let's go to results. We saw your new hero, Max, Koiki Kato, finishing first. Kristen Walhalter finished second, who's had a very good year. Very, very good year. Adrian Wakaksano, I think that's how you say his name. And of course, everybody's favorite, JQ, came fourth. Zach Ryan, who's been on the podcast before, he came eighth. Here we go. Naoto Matasakura. Max, how happy are you that Japan is racing 8 scale again?
I think it's one of the best things, because, Japan is actually one of the most, most winningest.
They've won the most worlds, I think.
Yeah. So it's like they are kind of the OG RC country. Like RC racing was kind of developed in Japan.
I know what you mean.
So it's like, it is good. I think big issue for them has been COVID. So for example, now I don't think he's even left Japan until like this year after COVID. Could be wrong, maybe one race here or there, but I think Hara has been racing a lot this year. Now Naoto and Koiki Kato, they have kind of been going out and about. Kanai has been really quiet. Usually he goes out more.
No worlds for him.
No world for him, but I guess they're getting there. We have some of these guys, being again more active in RC, which is good. And I think Infinity, the good thing about Infinity is that they sponsor a lot of Japanese drivers, so they are going to be able to get them out of Japan to drive some of these races. And now, thanks to them having an 8-scale off-road car, sort of the development will be in my opinion, the right class. Instead of focusing on, pan cars and 8-scale on-road, which has been like, they have still been very competitive in those two classes, pan cars and 8-scale on-road. So it's not like they have stopped racing. It's more so that they have went away from off-road classes.
Right. So I just wanted to confirm, this is Koiki. This is the same gentleman who was at the Worlds, correct? Will, you was at the Worlds.
Yeah.
He was also, no, I'm talking about the Worlds 10-scale Worlds. He's the same driver.
Yeah, he's the driver who's won the Japanese championship in at least 10-scale off-road and 8-scale off-road recently. And if I'm not totally wrong, he has performed well in some 8-scale on-road classes. So, well, if I'm not totally wrong, he actually made the world's main in 8-scale on-road last time out in Japan. I could be wrong about that, but he was high up. He was within the top 20 at the Worlds. He's started off as an associated driver, but since late last year, he's been picked up by Infinity, and he's been focusing more on classes that Infinity is present in. So I think he still runs associated for 10-scale, but he's been sort of focusing on Infinity, the classes that Infinity makes a car for. And I think he's kind of now becoming part of their official team as well, because he went to Singapore a few weeks back, and now here with Naoto. So, and a very important having Naoto with him, because although Naoto has been not having the sort of greatest results in 8-scale off-road at the Worlds or here, he did make the main in 2018. He has been very competitive in 10-scale on-road, in 10-scale on-road and off-road, as well as he's a, 4 or 5-time world champion at this point.
6-time.
Six time. Yeah,
I think it's 4 times. 4 times in 12 scale, 1 time in 10 scale touring, and 1 time in 1/8 scale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I think it's awesome. Real quick. So I don't know if you know about this series, Will. So this is a series that was started with Scotty Ernst, a few of the Australian guys and a few of the Asian guys over there, Edward CEO and those guys. They wanted to make their own championship. So they started out this year. I think they were in New Zealand was the first race they went to. Ryan Lutz was there. They then went to Philippine Masters, Australia, and then they finished up in Indonesia. But what this has done, in my opinion, is we're seeing a resurgence slightly of Japanese racers coming out and racing, but we're seeing a plethora of talent coming out of Australia. I mean, they didn't even have my new favorite Australian guy, Caleb Noble, who gives two shits. He don't give two fucks. He says what's on his mind. I love him.
Yeah.
But it's great. They go into these awesome tracks. The media is exceptional. They have written content. They have interviews. My boy Tony Firth works with them. It's great. I really want to go to the Philippine Masters or Indonesia, Australia next year, or New Zealand, wherever. I love to go to one of these rounds. We've seen Walker Spinrad go. Ryan Pavitas went to Australia. I know the Philippine Masters is like the big race and the biggest of these races, I think. But yeah, I definitely want to go. I think it's great. What do you think, Will? As a 10 skill, I look at that massive track. You think you can handle that?
Well, I like to hope so after a few laps or so. But I mean, I've definitely noticed like those Asian events, like those guys know how to run it. Like as far as I'm aware, and I know they did this especially for the 2017 10 scale worlds, but I'm gonna guess they've done it here. But like all the marshals are like
all paid.
They've been paid. Yeah, like they're all paid to be there, and all the media's there, and like the tracks. Like I mean, I think are all some of the best in the world. Like this track here, like you can see, like there's so many jumps, but like it's in the right places where it's not difficult. I'm saying this as someone who's just watching it, but like it's fast and flowing, and it looks like a really fun track, and it looks like it's giving really good racing at the same time. So, like, but I think what they're doing in Asia is brilliant. Like, I don't know if it's the people that own the track are basically minted. Like, if there's like something else going. Yeah, like from what I remember, I was speaking to Matt from RC Racing TV with RCGP. Like, they were telling me how like they had everything sorted when they did the Philippines round kind of thing. So
yeah, most of
I get from it.
Yeah, most of the people that race RC in those countries are affluent. So and these facilities are kind of like, they're built by people. JQ was really impressed with it. You know what, Max? Another Asian style track. That's unique. You don't see tracks like that outside of Asia. Like that off camber 180 on top of an elevator. Like miss that apex and you're going sliding right down to like the pit of no return.
Like, okay, so there's two sides to this. One is that the tracks are built by people who don't marshal. so they have these very wild features that you would never build anywhere that have it, like Philippine Masters, or I went there for the RCGP. That track was insane, like the off camber, the elevation, the jump combinations, all of that stuff. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have to marshal there, because that would have been crazy because of the elevation and the amount of stuff happening and the heat.
You would have melted.
But the 3D nature of those tracks is incredible.
Yes.
It's like, it's hard to explain because, American tracks are flowing. Yeah, they have jump combinations, but they have lots of bumps, 180s, 90-degree corners. Here, like, if you have a 180, it's never just a 180. It always has off camber, on camber, some sort of hip jump or whatever in between. So your car is always directed somewhere, and it always flows so perfectly. So it's kind of a feature in all of the tracks in Asia, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
It didn't used to be as good. It used to be worse. Like looking at those tracks from Indonesia in 2006, or
Scenic track. That track looks so hard.
Scenic was one of the first great ones, but even the Pattaya track, that one had some crazy features, but the flow, from what I've never been there myself, but from what I've heard, it was never as pleasant as some of these tracks look.
Yep. All right. Up next was another race over in the Far East, but this time in Australia. So let's bring that up. We're at Spencer Rivkin and Chase Lemieux. I did not know Chase Lemieux went. So this is actually where we're going to be having the 2025 World Champions. I know, Will, you're planning on going there. Max, I want us to go there. JQ, even I was talking to JQ yesterday, he's like, I want to go to the Worlds and race. So I think this is the last time we see a Worlds outdoor dirt like this. But this is, let's get it right. So this is the RCR EP Electric Powered Off-Road Australian Nationals, held October 4th to 6th at Hills Off-Road in Sydney, Australia. And yeah, I am just happy that Rivkin and Lemieux went there, because you know what? That's exactly what it's going to take to win this race. Going over there, they're probably going to have to go over there one more time before they're going to they should go to the warm-up. But I give kudos to Rivkin and I give kudos to Lemieux. I think Lemieux went with Scotty. I'm not sure how that worked. I just saw a post with Scotty saying, yeah, me and Chase are here. And because Scotty was her too. I don't know if he was calling the race, but I know Scotty was her, I think.
He might have been calling the race, but I think he was racing as well. He raced stock, I believe.
Well, so, I don't blame him. He probably just went to have fun. But dude, we're going to start off with Will, because Will was our big 10 scale guy. Will, are you excited to go to this race next year?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, it looks like the track has like pretty good grip as well, because the last two tracks, like Hoodie Arena and Hobby Action, they were just pretty low grip for what it was. And I know, like, of course, don't get me wrong, there is skill. You have to be going low grip. But I've spoken to Ray Monday, who's a pretty local guy around here, and he says like the track is pretty good. Like, at least from it's still on the low grip side, but it's still like pretty decent grip. You're not going to do anything crazy. But I think like just looking from it, it looks like it's definitely. I think I agree. It's probably going to be one of the last times you really see a true outdoor world. This kind of reminds me of like what I used to see like the guys race on like in the 80s or 90s. So it's kind of old. It's kind of old school, but I think it's obviously got the modern twist as well, because it's a smooth packed dirt as well. Yes. So I think we're going to racing on. I can't remember I know it's a raw speed tire. It's like a whole shot.
Raw speed is the handle tire. Raw speed is the handle tire.
So I think it's going to be really good. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, me too. So coverage was brought to you by RC Race Media. I hope I get that right. I know Tony Firth. If I don't, he's gonna let me know. But dude, once again, great coverage. I didn't really get to watch much of it because I was actually at a race. But man, this place, I'm super excited for the Worlds. And you know what? Rivkin didn't dominate this because the guy Ari Bakla, he actually won 4-wheel drive. I think they had a great battle.
No, Donnelly won 4-wheel drive.
Oh, Donnelly won it. Okay,
yeah,
Donnelly won. Oh, there we go. Donnelly won it.
Yeah.
So Rivkin, Donnelly, Lemieux were your top three in 2-wheel drive. We're watching A2, and here you can see Spencer's kind of out there. And then in 4-wheel drive, Donnelly beat him, and it was a great pass. I think it was A2 or A3. I don't know. But Max, your thoughts on this? Your thoughts on Rivkin going here? And yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny because I don't know if people have watched my interview with Jason Rona from the Worlds. But he kind of
which you should because it's only got 1,600 views and it's a great interview.
Yeah, it's 50 minutes of pure entertainment. So it's a long interview. We did it standing up. My feet were sore after that. So because I thought it was going to be 5 minutes, but then Jason, he had some things to tell, and I thought, hey, let's keep going because it was good. But yeah, back to this race. Jason told them that, these guys probably, I kind of read between the lines that he was talking about Rivkin, that these guys need to sort of make the choices that I want to win this and I have to do the work required. Like I have to go over to be it in Australia or Europe, like they have to go over to this race. And that's probably what he's doing now, Spencer. I don't know, Chase, Lemieux, I don't know, where did he go with Spencer? Sounds a bit weird if he went with Spencer.
I have no idea.
Rival teams, or maybe
I didn't even know he was there.
I think I saw a photo of them all in the airport together. So I don't know, maybe they were at least on the same flight, but maybe just different seats or something. But that's what I saw, a photo of him, Brent, Rivkin, Chase, and Scotty. So maybe they traveled all together.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, it's good practice. It's not something that is gonna make it or break it, but it's more of a confidence thing. You've been in before, you know what it's like, you know kind of where to start from, and you will never have to sort of second guess yourself. You know what you can do at this track, what you cannot. and that's kind of what you gain. It's not that you automatically win if you practice, but the confidence you gain gives you a big advantage if you can use it right. And I don't know, Will, was you ever in Vasa in Finland?
No, it wasn't, but I've seen that Worlds like on YouTube several times. I still think that's probably one of the best Worlds I've probably seen. But that looks amazing.
That's now 13 years ago. That was, to my memory, sort of the last untreated dirt outdoor Worlds. And it was very similar to this, grass infields. You had this natural dirt track. And then that was kind of the pinnacle of 10 scale, in a sense, 10 scale tracks. Since then, we've gone to sugar tracks in Chico, then to Astro in Yatabi Arena, then to sugared track, sugared 8 scale track as well in China, and then to Hoodie indoor, and then to Hobby Action indoor with very natural like slicks and no sauce. And then now we're kind of back to that. But realistically, as we talked about, it's going to be one of the last ones. But when you see 10 scale being run on like that, at least to me, it's kind of like, wow, okay, actually makes sense, Because to me, we're going to talk about the Euros a bit on the next podcast, but it's not as exciting. It's not even close to as exciting. I mean, it's cool that you're in an arena. It's cool to have a carpet or Astro or whatever. Or even, let's say, Hobby Action. Like, you're still indoors. It's a small space. It's unnatural. It doesn't look very, like, upkept because you don't have, like, all those infields that are in grass.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. The aesthetic appeal.
But this one, like, when those cars come down the straightaway and you have people watching the race, you have the grass growing there, you have the concrete curbs on the track, all of that stuff. That's what makes it look like a real racetrack. It's the same kind of thing if you look at, F1. Yeah, Monaco is very, very like prestigious, and like it has history. But then if you look at like Baku or some of these newer street circuits, it's kind of boring. It's just fences and asphalt and lines, But then you have like Monza or Spa or some of these like very old, like from hundreds of years back racetracks. It's a totally different feel when you see cars go around. It makes it feel authentic.
Well, those tracks have prestige and heritage, right? And but I get what you're saying. I prefer a track. Yeah. So I get your comparison to what you're trying to say there. I do. Yeah. I understand it.
But also, I think one point that to add to that, it doesn't really have to be permanent either. But having it outdoors, even if it was under a roof, but having it like outdoors, somewhat outdoors, and having it in a sort of a larger space, having it made properly, with not temporary like pipes and, plastic curbs and so on. That's a big difference as well, And Hoodie Arena, it was all right, but it didn't have that appeal to me, at least. And you can see it, like, even at the 8 scale, I'd argue we have similar issues with that.
I want to say something, then we'll have a quick chat about it, and then we'll move on because I have to talk about Georgia Peach State Race, which I attended as well. We just talked about how Australia is pushing out all this great talent in the 8 scale. Well, here we have a guy. Okay, he beat Rivkin. Like, that's a feather in your cap, right? That's a serious feather in your cap. It looks like the Australians are getting fast in 10 scale too, or always have been fast.
They've always been fast, but the issue with the Australians is just that they don't
travel.
They don't. First of all, traveling within Australia, like Australia is almost the size of like Europe, like probably bigger.
No,
than Europe.
It's bigger than it's huge. It's like bigger than almost the size of America, if not the same size.
And the thing is, you have only 25 million people in that size area. So, and then all of them are located at their far ends. Some are in the south, some are in the Sydney area. So it's like totally everyone is on the different sides. So they never have the sort of capacity for these guys to sort of race each other so much that they develop. Because Italy is a bigger country than Australia in terms of population.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them are located within the sort of up north, like the top quarter north of Italy. Some are more south, but most of them are in north. So you have these top 20 races, like 5 of the top 20 races in the world living within a few hundred kilometers of each other. They're going to race week in, week out, and that sort of pushing each other develops them. But not having that's a big deficit to give.
Yeah, it definitely is. Your thoughts on that? Wrapping up, Will, before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel a little bit, I don't say bad, but the Australians, because they can't travel as much, I guess, if they were in Europe or in America, they don't get to race against guys like Rivkin or even the guys in Europe that much. And I think their tracks are really different to what also is around the world as well. But I think one good thing to say is that I think it's going to be a really neutral Worlds, for sure, because I mean, unless you go to practice, I think it's going to be really neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll make it really interesting with the Worlds, because Hobby Action, we kind of knew it was going to be an American. I mean, to be fair, Ongaro, we know the guy's he's pretty talented, and he was gonna do well. So, but
maybe we'll see one of these Australian guys do really well at this race, or a few.
I mean, it's their home track. One thing I was going to say to Max kind of add on, they definitely gave Rivkin a run for their money, but Rivkin has come in to a track he's never raced on before. So and these guys, they've done thousands of laps, so it's just kind of their national track in a way. So all of those guys have probably done, and I'm not taking anything away from them, fair play, and I'm sure these guys are going to do brilliant at the Worlds, but that's kind of just wanted to add to. So I think I can imagine the guys will, especially the US guys, will come to the Worlds warm up and so on. So I think once they've done the warm up and done their research, they will do. I think they will really give the Australians the run for their money as well.
What about the Europeans?
That's the tough part, I think.
I think. I think in Europe now, 10 scale dirt it just seems to be kind of dying a bit. I think because we don't really do Euros that much anymore on dirt. Thank God, we've got Hoodie Arena. I'll be on dirt next year. I think it's really hurting us quite a lot. Especially in the for the UK guys. At least we used to have Lee and Neil that you kind of knew were really good on dirt and they're going to be top 10. But even in Hobby Action, we didn't. I think our best guy was in the C final. And you guys, I know I'm biased to the UK guys, but traditionally we've always been in the world's main or something at least. So it was a bit weird that I think it's something. I mean, that's just a UK problem, but I think even in Europe, it just doesn't seem like there's much dirt racing going on anymore. I don't really know why. Maybe Max has an answer to that, but
weather.
Yeah, I mean, weather is definitely one, but it's not only weather, because it's not like America has significantly better weather or anything, or Australia has significantly better weather. I mean, obviously UK is their own thing. You guys been running Astro and I think you only had one dirt track for the last 20 years for 10 scale. That was wrong, and it's gone now.
It's still there, but they just put carpet over it. But they just did it because of the same thing, weather, to prep a dirt track, especially the UK weather.
Well, I think that dirt racing in 10 scale is going to be a thing of the past eventually, personally.
Eventually, but that's kind of the difficulty, I feel, because in America, it's still people still seem to prefer dirt over carpet if they have the choice. And in Australia, sort of carpet racing is at least from the popularity standpoint, this sort of racing that they race in Sydney, this is what they seem to race the most on. Whereas Europeans, if we actually think about what was the last time that the Europeans competitively raced on untreated dirt?
Hoodie?
And Hoodie 2019? Mm-hmm. I don't remember.
6 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, but if you think about that, in 2019, the Euros were Pinerolo in Italy. And then you had Hudi. 2020, no Euros. 2021, no Euros. 2022, you had Robin Hood. And then last year, you had Holland.
AstroTurf in Holland. And then this year in Sweden.
Holland. And then, and even Robin Hood, that was the Astro track, not the dirt track. So the last time where an European has competitively raced on untreated dirt was at the World in 2019. If you think about that. So it's incredible how far away we've gone, because Americans, they don't race at hot rod hobbies, but they still race on like dirt, and they know sort of how the tires run. Because if you look at dirt tires versus carpet tires, the weight is completely different. The tire diameter, the weight of the tires, the ballooning of the tires, the complete way of how the tires work is different on carpet tires. So even though, yes, you're not running pin tires in America, you're essentially just running a bit slicker pin tires, because they're slicks. But in Europe, when we run an Astro and carpet, you run much lower tire. It's much stiffer compound. You run different diameter of front and rear tires, completely different type of like grip of front and rear tires. And then the ballooning is minimal. So jump handling, landing, sort of the way you create rotation in the car, it's completely different. And I think that's something that I think gonna really, really hurt the Europeans. Sure, in hobby action, it didn't go that bad. You still had Ongaro winning four-wheel drive. Orlowski was, I don't know if he actually podiumed, but he was right about there in four-wheel drive. In two-wheel drive, you have Kerup in the final, Ongaro in the final. So there were still guys who were competitive, but Ongaro doesn't even race 10 scale, so you can't really count him in. Orlowski and Kerup are the two top guys, and Orlowski didn't make the main in the other class. Kerup didn't make the main in the other class. Oh no, Kerup made the both. Okay, sorry. But either way, they were non-factors. Realistically, except for Orlowski in full drive.
Yeah, understandable.
And I think like that was actually more beneficial to the Europeans, because that was such an unknown even to the Americans, because it was slicks and
no traction compound.
So that was unknown for everyone, and that's why Tate Sontag ended up winning it, because he was kind of an outlier.
Well,
and it's I think it's a much bigger topic.
Where are the Euros next year? Do you know, Will?
Hoodie,
Hoodie Arena.
Okay, so they're at Hoodie, so going back to dirt.
Yeah. So at least they have some practice before the World. But I mean,
they don't. Do they treat it at Hoodie? Do they treat it? Okay, so
no, they don't.
All right. Moving on.
But it's very slippery.
Yeah, I remember 2019 was very slippery. Like guys were driving on edge.
I drove on it, and it was really slick. Really slick.
I can imagine. Race that I attended after Spain, so I came home, spent a week, and then I was back into the USA, and people were running away to a hurricane, and I was running towards a hurricane, and my thoughts go out to all my Floridians as we record this. Milton's about to hit them. I went to the Georgia Peach State Classic. This is my second time going to this race. I absolutely love it up here in Georgia. Tiger, Georgia's up in the mountains. Max, you would love it up here. It's beautiful. We packed up. So I flew in. We drove up to Lake City, and Lance packed up his wife, his dogs, his father-in-law, because he's looking after his father-in-law. We had 2 campers going up there, plus our trailer. We went on a train all the way up there. And I have to give a big credit to Mark Moon and all his crew and all the racers that came out, because I remember Thursday, it was like a few racers there. And I was like, oof, I don't know if this is going to get, I don't want a promoter to lose money, right? I wanted to make his money at least to break even. So, but people started rolling in, man. Once they saw the picture of the track, and once they saw the hurricane. So the hurricane was bad, like in North Carolina. It hit Florida pretty bad, like not all of Florida, but where the Panhandle is. And this hurricane took a weird path right up to the mountains, not far from where I was. I mean, the hurricane did come up past us, but it wasn't as strong. It knocked down some trees. It was a lot of flooding. Some people had they didn't have like power in their Airbnb and all that type of stuff. But I'm just gonna put it on because this was the best race of the weekend. But we had people come down from Michigan, Chuck Berg and the No Pro crew, and then Mike Loeb's Chuck Lee, who's actually running in this, came down from Michigan as well. And then Friday, people just started rolling in. And if you can see that, there's the red trailer. That side of the track actually got wet because it's a very high roof, and they had to fix the track. We're watching Aiden Ridgway and Mike Legee, aka Chatter. This was the best race out of the whole weekend. Intermediate nitro buggy. It was fucking awesome. I was going crazy. Aiden Ridgway actually won. I thought Brian Burnett made a good track, but all the moisture actually helped the track. The track, usually they fix this track every night. I don't think they may have patched a few hills at the end of the straightaway, but man, it was a good layout. I think people enjoyed it. Obviously, it wasn't a big 450 entry race like the promoter wanted, but he got about 350 entries. We had Lee Setzer there, Jonah the Fish Wilson, Cole Caston, Cade Burnett, Tebow, and Tyler Jones was supposed to come, but they pulled out because of the weather. But I mean, people braved the weather. People raced it. People found out like, hey, so this is where the race got interesting. Aiden came in for a splash and go, and this tightened everything up. And then actually, Legee, I'm ad. Come on, YouTube. I need YouTube Premium. So basically, Legee, they won the last lap, like a quarter of the race away, quarter to finish, like last couple of corners to finish race, and Legee ran out of fuel, like right here where that car is going. It was a great race, man. I mean, look, I love good racing. It doesn't always have to be pro guys. If the intermediate guys put on a good race, the sportsman guys, 40 plus guys put on a good race, I love it. Track was good. The people came out. We had fun. The weather was great. It wasn't too hot. It was a little rainy, a little muddy, but you had some boots on. Hey, North Georgia shootout. We'll be there. I can't wait. There's Mike Legee. Was a good weekend. In pro, Lee Setzer won, followed by Cole Caston, Jonah Wilson, Patrick Russell, Jake Steichleather, Matt Navoso. And yeah, those guys put on a show for us too. Like Lee didn't have it easy. He didn't have an easy weekend. Cole Caston and Jonah Wilson. I think Jonah Wilson won. Might have won E-Buggy, and I think Cole Caston won Truggy. But good race, good weekend. Kind of a smaller regional race that I went to. It was good traveling up there. And yeah, we're crazy. We went to the Hurricane. Well, we kind of went away from the Hurricane, but also to the Hurricane. All right. So the big race that we did this past weekend, actually, when I say we, Matt, I keep only calling you Matt. Will was there with RC Racing TV. I was doing a virtual call from here in the studio for the 11th iteration of the Buggyland race in Madrid, Spain. It was held October 4th to 6th at the Club Kart Funacaral, Madrid, Spain. And we saw a good bit of the European guys getting here. We saw Angaro. They had Angaro, Barufalo, Canas, Figueiredo, Bobby Robert was there. They had quite a few top guys. The KLINIK brothers were there. No Boots. Last year, Boots was remember Boots was so fast at this race last year about his sway bar. They had,
this was kind of like the rejuvenating race for Boots.
Well, I mean,
it was like, wow, he's back. Like, okay, he had good races before, but this was the one where we.
He had the Euros. He had the Euros. He finished second.
Yeah, but it was like.
Hey, Zankatine went there. Hey, Josemi Sanchez, a name to remember because that kid's gonna be fast. Savoya was there, and yeah, there was a good bit of races there for European race, right? A lot of the top names. No Scandinavia, no Ronafalk, no nothing like that. Because also, I think it's very close to the Euros. A lot of people went to the Euros, and it's the week after the Euros, so it caused that. And of course, we have the Reg DP coming up this weekend as well. But we have to talk about it. Will, let's talk about it. You was actually there your first time going to working for RC Racing TV.
Actually, the second.
Second, but at an 8-scale race at the Glory.
Yeah, first 8-scale.
It was a long weekend. They ran an American style race, but they kind of had a European schedule. Lots of warm up, lots of this, and it took all day. Like I think you finished at 11 o'clock. I finished at 5.
It was like 16-hour days. So, like, it was on the terrace. Like, I think the longest race I've ever done was probably EOS, but that was like maybe more like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock to like.
Yeah, but you also had 500 entries at EOS.
Yeah, but it was like outdoors as well. So like the morning, I mean, I know it's still Spain, but like, and it wasn't too bad. But like in the morning, it was like cold, and then like towards the night, it was starting to get a little bit chilly. But yeah, that was hands down the longest race I've ever done. And I know I wasn't racing and it probably felt longer, but
How was the atmosphere there? Then you got out there because you're doing a lot of B-roll, you're doing commentary before I got there, which I think you did a good job. How was the atmosphere? I've never been to this race.
I thought it was really good. I mean, I think because I'm kind of a bit more new to 8 scale, the only thing I kind of noticed was there wasn't really like commentary. Like there would be, let's say, like a traditional race where, like, if you went to a Neo Buggy, you'd have someone on the mic actually commentating the race. So it felt a little bit weird because you only had a race director basically just calling people out of the way, and there wasn't really any commentary. So, but other than that, I think the atmosphere of itself was really, in general, was positive. The pits were like really busy. Lots going on, like the branding itself. Like they had so much brand. Like it looked like a professional race. Like, and the whole setup they had, like we had a container just for the media side. They had a whole container for the media side, but like the track itself as well. Like we turned up and it was like a work of art. It was like Da Vinci had.
It was a beautiful.
There was like the RC. Da Vinci had done something there. So I think is it Magello or Magello? What's his name?
Magello
runs it. Magello. That's the one. But yeah, like he put on a fantastic show.
Well, he builds. I think Magello is one of the best track builders in the world, and you can definitely see what type of track he builds. And he does a lot of hand tamping to his tracks. So he's out there for days just with a tamper, like that's why he's in the gym and all that stuff, doing this. You know, with the tamper, like tamping those jumps down and making it smooth. But he has a style. His style is very flowing. You won't see very many big crazy jumps, but lots of technical jumps where you have to. We're gonna bring up the e-buggy race that Max has her.
I managed to race her, so like I did manage to have a few laps towards the end, so I did actually get to try it. And like the good thing, like it was a big track for sure, but it was still easy to drive, and the jumps were like a good size. There wasn't any crazy sections that would catch you out, but like it was still, there was still obviously sections where you could make time and lose time really easily, but I felt like it was an easy enough track for the lower guys. It was also a really good challenging track to make time on for the top guys. But it just seemed like not many people made mistakes, truthfully. Like when I was watching the top heat and even that main final, like not many people made mistakes.
Not
so
Ongaro.
It was really hard.
He didn't make any mistakes.
Well, yeah, Ongaro he made one small mistake, but it was more of a bubble more than anything. But that's it.
Well, some of our pre-race talking points going into this was, can Ongaro's dominance continue? And can Canas come back from a tough result at the Worlds? I'm going to put this up because, Ongaro did continue his dominance in both e-buggy and nitro buggy. But it was a little ebb and flow at the beginning. In qualifying, there was a little ebb and flow with wet tire, wet track, and all that type of stuff. Yeah, and the KLINIK, look, I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to start her. And Ongaro's changed his paint scheme once again. Do you want to see the A final or the?
Yeah, sorry, I put the wrong one. I was supposed to put the pro one, but I accidentally.
Look at that. Max made a mistake.
Oh no.
Let's get back to. I will
just go forwards 10 minutes, and then it'll be the A.
Okay, there we go. I'm probably going forward too far now. Max, go ahead. Start out talking about this. I know you have some interesting topics. Go ahead while I figure this out.
So the e-buggy was interesting. Let's put it that way. Because first final, Ongaro just completely ran out of it. Like he was, what was it, like 10 seconds in front? Let me pull the actual data up. So yeah, he finished with a 10:07 and Canas finished with a 10:15. And Ongaro's top 10 average laps. So that's almost half of his laps. Actually, more than half of his laps were faster than Canas's best lap, which is incredible, like incredible pace. But then the second day, so the first A main in e-buggy was ran on Saturday. And that was towards the end of the day. Track was dry, sort of optimal part of the day, optimal grip of the track. Ongaro was really fast. Then the second A main was run right at the morning of Sunday. And this is kind of a thing that I feel Matrix still has to improve on, because as soon as the track was damp, Ongaro's speed compared to Canas. Okay, so let's not say Ongaro's speed went away, but
he wasn't as good as Canas with those J Concepts tires.
Yeah, so in the first final, Ongaro was around half a second a lap faster in the top pace. But in the second main, it flipped. So in the top 3, it was actually Canas who had the sort of 4/10 gain. Now, luckily for Ongaro, the starting position of Canas was, let me check it, 4th. So he kind of lost a lot of time there. But at the end, I don't know if you can find it. I can send you.
What are we looking for, Max?
Let me send you a link of this, because the end of the A2, that was
where Birkin hit that rock.
Oh, that was the beginning of A2.
I'm gonna put A2 on the. I'm gonna put A2 on the screen now.
Yeah, because there we had that moment of Canas closing in. They was right behind each other. Let me send you this, because this is something that was really. You can fast forward.
I'll fast forward.
Yeah, to quite the end of the main. But so in the beginning, no, Ongaro doesn't pull away from Birkin as he did in A1. But at the end, Canas gets right up to him. And I started this with saying Matrix has still some work to do. And this is about the damn track. And Ongaro said this himself in a post-race interview, that as the track was damp in the morning, J Concepts was miles ahead, for at least for Canas. They was so much better. And you could see this from like the way he could catch him and the amount of grip he could have compared to Ongaro, who was really struggling. And we all remember Ron Falk at DNC in 2023 with those Matrix tires running in the D main.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that kind of could stop Ongaro from coming
to the USA.
Yeah, because he was incredible. Like the pace difference was incredible. And I think this A2 main, the end of A2 main of eBuggy, this was the only time of the weekend where we actually saw Canas being able to challenge Ongaro. And yeah, here we have the last few laps. We have them right behind each other. And you can see Canas has so much more pace. His downside is that he does make more mistakes on this track, even in the Nitro class. And passing on Miguelo tracks is notoriously difficult. So he never managed to make it by. But yeah, after this A2 of eBuggy, Canas was kind of like nowhere compared to Ongaro. In Nitro, he could run away and so on. But I think it's a very interesting aspect for the future. Between these
absolutely. If and this is no disrespect to Matrix, we're not talking. They fucking won this. Like they kicked.
Yeah. That's kind of what I wanted to preface here.
But if
as long as the track's dry, be it the Worlds, be it the Euros,
and warm, I would say warm.
I don't know if it's about temperature, because he was good in Montpellier and that's cold as hell.
This is true.
But I think the dampness of the track is the determining factor, because here you can just see it doesn't look like Ongaro. Like he's holding on to the lead here. He's not really able to put on any kind of charge here. He cannot compete with the pace of Canas, whereas he absolutely dominated A1. And yeah, it's a very interesting factor, because both of these guys, Hot Race kind of used to be the dominant tire in Europe. Last year, Canas was on Hot Race and he did really well. Ongaro had a slow start and a very good end to the year.
And even in this race, they had a good battle midway. And I remember calling this race and thinking Ongaro's tires, wow, that was close. Ongaro's tires were completely gone. And then like in the last 15 minutes of the race, he fucking kicked ass.
Like a year ago.
I have a guy that comes on YouTube and says, nobody beats Ongaro in a hour-long main. And you know what?
Yeah.
It's fucking looking like it. I think, all right, I have my opinion on this. But yeah, you can see where Canas is just absolutely on him. And it comes from them J Concepts tires, because those tires are used to, when you go to these East Coast, look, these East Coast races like PNB, these indoor races, they start out where the track is wet because they water it at night. in the mornings, and it's cold. So they have the compounds and treads, which is usually a reflex or a relapse that most people use in the East Coast. But they have the compounds, right? They have that green. They have that. I think.
Yeah, and the main difference here was for this A2 main. I'm pretty sure they actually ran like Canas ran triple Ds. I wasn't there, so I couldn't double check this, but I'm pretty sure they ran like pin tires for the A2. But
Berkan looks so upset. He found the one rock on the track. That's what his post is about. I found the one rock on the track. Will, you was there. What can you say about Max's thoughts on that?
I think it's pretty accurate, to be fair, what Max is saying. Because definitely felt like at the beginning, at least from what I observed from practice, I know it was a fairly green track, but Ungaro didn't really seem like dominant from the beginning at all. And definitely in the mornings as well, but when the track was a little bit, because they watered the track every morning. So I think when the track was a bit colder and was starting to dry out a bit, it always seems like in the morning. Yeah, Ungaro, I definitely don't think had sort of the pace at the beginning. But once the track kind of dried out a bit and started to smooth out a bit more, it definitely seemed like Ungaro kind of came back. But I mean, I can't remember where Canas was at the beginning, but I feel like he kind of had a bit of a rough start to the whole weekend because he was kind of struggling. I don't think he seeded the best. He was obviously still in the top heat, but I think it was kind of midfield. And it kind of felt like, the best I could describe it, and I'm sure you guys will get onto it, but in that Truggy final, I feel like he found something which I feel like he translated into Buggy. So it felt like on the finals day and when finals started to begin, Canas started to kind of find something, but I think by that point, Ungaro kind of already started to dominate quite a bit, and he was making a lot of mistakes, but I don't know if that's because he was trying to catch up with what he lost through qualifying, trying to get that pace back. But at least that's my observations from that.
Well, I would have to agree with that because Canas and Ungaro, they do not want to lose to each other. Like they are fierce competitors now. They used to be friends, and now they're like nemesis, enemies out there. And it's also like Spain, right? This man just, Canas went into the world as one of the favorites to win this. Like, I thought he was going to win it. And he didn't. He was fast all week, and he didn't. I thought maybe Canas was just like, all right, I'm not going to be able to go out there and be fast like I was at the Worlds. I'm going to hold my cards close to my chest and go like this. Berkan was not surprising. Berkan was fast, and he was consistent. But I have a comment I want to say after this before we get into this. But man, Ungaro just like on these type of tracks, man, it's going to be hard to beat Ungaro. It's gonna be hard to beat.
Yeah, I think like the only way you can beat Ungaro is to water the track at this point. It's crazy how, because last year sometimes we had this discussion of is the Matrix tires good or whatever. I think we can throw that out of the window. I think he had probably. I don't know if he had the best tires at the Worlds, but definitely the best tires for him. I don't think he could have gone any faster with any other brand of tire at the Worlds. Here, as long as the track was dry, he was dominant. No like talk there. For Berkan, finished third in e-buggy. He was running Sismic, and I think they were happy too. So it was a very different sort of feel, because at the Euros, it was kind of like Sismic was the number one. Here, it seemed like kind of everyone was comfortable except for Canas. So it was a odd track in that sense. And I feel like the tire game, we talked about this before, it's so important in Europe right now because the tracks are so smooth. You run the thread tire, the compounds are the determining factor. And yes, the setup does matter as well. But a lot of these guys, it's kind of the level of, for example, the KLINIK brothers. You can, as long as they do good, like if they do good, Sismic's good. If they don't do good, Sismic's not good. It's kind of like obvious. For Ungaro, it's very tough to tell because he's always fast. But definitely in recent times, as long as he's dry, he's good. And him having this level of like consistency at this high speeds, it's scary for guys like Canas, because for a second it kind of looked like, yeah, Canas is the man to beat. Won the Euros last year, won the Euros this year, different tire brand, lots of things changing, but he's still up top. Okay. And now Ongaro kind of seems like has everything under control. And from the Worlds, it seems like no Americans has anything on them. So I think a lot of these guys have to be a bit scared. I guess the thing is like...
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think Ongaro's got a lot of these guys shook. I talked to a few drivers after this, and they were like, nobody can beat Ongaro right now. And I was like, well, you guys already lost, right? You already lost. He's already got you.
Yeah.
Look, the fucking Ongaro is amazing, right? He's amazing what he can do. He walked away with this. He walked away with the Worlds. I wish he'd stop doing that because it makes for damn boring races. But,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess he has to. Look, he's dominating.
Yeah, and I want to say this just to suck him off a bit more. I think like the fact that he only needed 1 year. So they came out with brand new tires, Matrix tires.
Yes.
They needed 1 year for him to be dominant, And yeah, he won a few races in the first year, finished on the podium of Euros, but he was on the back foot the whole of 2023. We have to be honest about that.
Yes.
But at the start of this year, already at Montpellier, then going to Euros warm-up, Euros, all of these big races, IBC. Well, no, not IBC.
IBC was a good race last year.
What was that race? The Italian job race. All of these races, or actually Italian race, not the Italian job anymore.
You can't call
all of these races. Ongaro has been the man to beat. So if you think about this, like from any of the drivers, having a completely like G Concepts, how long did they take to start winning on the West Coast? Like 10 years almost.
Oh, they had to establish out there. They had to establish a brand out there and all that stuff.
So sure, Matrix still has issues on damp tracks. We can say that definitely is the case right now still. But as long as the track's dry, be it in Europe, be it in Philippines, I'd say even in America when it's dry, it's probably good. It's incredible how fast he can get his shit together. Like he had a complete change to the front end of Associated. Yeah, 1 or 2 bad races and then it was back on pace. Completely new tire manufacturer, new tires for him. Everything changed 1 year and he's all good. He has the best engine. He has a car that he can win in all conditions pretty much. And now he has a tire that it's really good in all conditions. I don't know, because Canas, yeah, he's fast. But as I said at the Worlds, he's already at his maximum. He never holds back. And he still can't challenge him. Not even for a little while, unless Ongaro has something not going for him. So, and I don't see challenge him. I don't see any way either that the Americans could do anything to him right now. Like,
well, I think in America it's going to be a different story. But I will say this: I think that Canas can challenge him, but I think when they do get head to head, I think okay, Ongaro's more consistent. That's what I'm looking for. He's more consistent with his wins, and he's consistently beat Ongaro. He's consistently beat Canas. Excuse me. Canas has beat him sometimes too. Here's what I think. I think Canas isn't scared of him. I think Ronafalk isn't scared of Ongaro. And I think when I say scared, like they feel that they can beat him because they've beat him, right? They've beat him. And I think Boots is the only other one that I think has the confidence to beat him. I think the other guys are kind of shook up by him. Maybe not. I just think, and I mean that, like, I think that Barkan and Burak and these guys could beat Ongaro, But
yeah, but on
is they going to steadily beat him? I don't think so, but they can beat him.
That's the thing. Like, like at the Worlds, Canas, he was at his best. He started first on the grid. He had the tires that he liked. J Concepts worked really well. Everything was going well for Canas at the Worlds, but he still couldn't really challenge. Yeah, he flamed out. Maybe he could have had a chance. But realistically, he was always at the back foot in the main. And that's kind of my thing, that sure, Berton can beat Ongaro when he has a tire advantage. Sure, Ronenfort can beat Ongaro when it's a track that he prefers. And sure, Canas can beat Ongaro when he has a tire advantage or Ongaro has a rough weekend or a rough start. But when everything goes right for everyone, Ongaro comes out on top every single time.
You know what? I can't argue with that. I cannot argue with
that. To me is like the incredible part. Like, how can he be so good?
I can't argue with that. Will, thoughts on that before we wrap it up with a few things? I want to show the Truggy race, because the Truggy race is the best race of the whole weekend.
Yeah, that Truggy race was... I can't believe that ending.
Let's put it up where it's here.
Oh, let's put it on like... I was Matt told me to get the video of I'm not going to say who won. I know it's public, but of who won. But it was so confusing because you know what? I'm gonna let it play once it comes up.
I thought Joao won this. I did, because he was the only one still running, but he was a lap on apparently. But these guys, I'm guessing we're watching Daniel Pariente, and that is...
It's not... I don't see it on the screen, Keenan.
Yeah, it's not showing up.
Technical difficulties.
It's showing on my screen. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it in the sense that it came down to a very exciting race where Daniel Pariente and Canas were actually battling it out in the last laps of this race, and they both ran out of fuel. Pariente running out of fuel a few corners before the final, and then find the loop, and then Canas running out of fuel about 20 feet from the loop. And you can see him on his trailer. It's like, go, 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 go. Like he's trying to build the car to go. But I think Pariente won it overall. But this brings up a good point, Max. This is why you say we should have a time plus one lap.
Exactly. And I think this is the silly thing, because Joao came across the line, was it like 30 minutes or I don't know, did they run a 45-minute main or 30-minute main? Either way, he came like 5 seconds after 30 minutes was up, past the loop, whereas Pariente and Canas came across the loop like 10 seconds before 30 minutes was up. So, two cars going to the last lap, both ran out of fuel. Had Joao been on the same lap, he would have won. But now, instead of, having some form of conclusion, we're just like, oh, well, I guess the second to last lap now counts. So, because Pariente went across the line first at the second to last lap, he won by default.
Can you guys see the screen now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll just play it. I do apologize. Don't know what's going on. But yeah, one lap would have solved this, right? Because then if it would have been one lap, then Joao would have won because he would have come across.
Unless, of course, he ran out of fuel as well. But yeah, you can see here, Daniel runs out of fuel.
Let me go back a little bit.
Yeah. So we go into the last lap. Figueiredo is still yet to come across the line. And Daniel runs out of fuel just like, what is this, like half a lap to go?
Mm-hmm.
Canas takes the lead, like, okay, this is set now. And I don't know, it was crazy, but at the same time, it was dumb. Like so dumb that this is how the race ended.
No, right here.
Yeah, you can literally see, like...
Yeah.
He had to feel the car losing fuel.
Yeah.
At that point, I actually thought he won and he was celebrating. So, because I was filming, right, you can't see, but right, that's me actually funny off in a grey jacket. But, and it's weird because I definitely agree it's a really weird way to decide a winner. But I guess the only logical reason I can see why they decided it that way, because like that's literally the last piece of data they have, or in this case a timestamp when those guys actually were racing. So I guess like to show on camera, although we know all obviously like Canas literally was 2 meters away from winning, I guess in theory from the results side, the time like the last time they physically went past that line was that timestamp they got. So I guess like if you want to be technical, that's the only way you could sort of prove who won, even though we all actually saw who was closest to the finish line.
Okay.
So I guess
but to me,
I see it, but it's a bit of a hard one.
Yeah, I think this is the issue with running for time and like with a straight, cut, not like plus 1 lap or whatever. Like the issue is always that you don't really have to finish to win the race. You just have to complete more laps than any other person can. In the limited period of time. So you could technically, if you know that you're so much faster than others, you could pull in to the pitch with 2 minutes to go and still win. You don't really have to even finish if the people behind you are so far back. And that sounds ridiculous, but that's like sort of the way we race these cars.
Okay. A couple of people that impressed me here. Clement Boda was pretty fast. Josemi Sanchez once again. Clement making the final, which was good. David Todd, who's impressed us all year. Marc Dezoir. I mean, I don't really know who he is. In the intermediate was that guy. Marco Carantine was very fast. But here was your finishing order. David Angaro takes the win. Barkin and Nitro Buggy. Barkin KLINIK takes second. Good second for Barkin.
Oh, really good. Yeah, Barkin was strong all week, and he even took Q1, TQ in both E-Buggy and Nitro.
Yeah. JC3 in third. Adrian Parente, the younger Parente brother, the smoother, the more calm brother, I think. Fourth. Joao Figueiredo, fifth. Daniel Parente, sixth. Josemi Sanchez, a good result for him, seventh. Clement Boda, eighth. Good result. Reno Savoya, ninth. Oscar Navarro, David Todd, Robert Badier, Marc Dezoir, Ricardo Montero, Marco Barufalo, and Boric KLINIK. So Boric KLINIK, I found out what happened to him. I heard that he walked off the stand. Apparently got a stop and go or something like that with somebody, and then he probably just, I don't know what happened. As for us, it was a little bit difficult. So the timing went on. So the timing, we got to talk about this because I know Matt was upset about this, and I was upset about it because it made a very frustrating call. But the timing, it wasn't Everlap's fault. It wasn't the fault of the stream. It was the internet fault at the track. I think they're like on 3 or 4G. So this timing was spotty all weekend. Like, it was, the best way I could describe it was like driving on the road with no lights and no street lights, and then your lights coming on intermittently for 30 seconds and then going off, right? Just imagine driving on the street.
And it was normally delayed by like a minute.
Yo, it was so delayed. But it fucking completely quit during the final, which made it impossible. Dude, I think it was like 20 minutes in. I was like, our final. And you're just trying, you're blind. I'm not there. I'm not there. Will actually had so I have my phone over WhatsApp call. They tried to film the because the RD had it, but apparently even the TVs that were down below, they ran out. They were in the RD booth, the timekeeper booth, taking pictures, intermediate pictures of the timing, and then actually a video. I couldn't really see the video, so we tried to bring it to you, but that kind of messed up my side of calling the things and messed up the things. So it wasn't anything to do with Everlaps. It wasn't anything to do with RC Racing TV. It was actually the internet. So it happened. Everybody was probably on their phone watching scoring while that race was going on, and using the internet from the club. But good race. Good win for Angaro again. Jesus. I don't think we're gonna. I don't know, man. I don't think anybody can stop him right now. Consistently stop him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can see him not winning a race, but I don't see him like getting straight up beat. You know, like you remember last year at IBC, you was actually announcing that race.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And that was when Canas
beat him
the win. Like, absolutely took it. It was like it was not like, oh, he got it, he took it, you know. And that was something like, okay, now it's changing. Like, Ongara's gone, like, not the top dog, but he's back. And I think here, I think I've sucked off Ongara enough now, so I'm going to talk about Canas. So,
well, I thought let's talk briefly about Canas because we have to wrap this up. We have.
So, you know. Well, okay, let's start with Berkan because he actually finished second in Nitro. So Canas was in second at times in the race, but it was just mistakes. And I think he
just didn't seem a threat at all. You know, I thought
he had decent pace. He had decent pace. He was in second at times, but it's like, every time he started gaining any ground, he started making mistakes. He made so many mistakes, way too many. And I think that's kind of his issue. So when he's not the fastest guy around, he cannot like he cannot keep up without making mistakes because he's already at his limit. Ongaro, you know, he can step it up 5% almost at any point. But Kanasi is always 100 and maybe sometimes, you know, a bit over. So that was his downside. And Burkan, he was comfortable. Sismic worked good. Finally, not a DNF for him. I think he's had like so many DNFs recently. So a well-deserved second. And like, even though we said Ongaro is dominant, blah, 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 it wasn't that big of a difference in the end. It was only, 15 seconds behind Ongaro. So 15 seconds over an hour, what is that? That's like 4/10 per minute. Yeah, 4/10 per minute or something like that. It's crazy little of how much.
I'm going to repeat what Liono50 says on YouTube. Nobody beats Ongaro in an hour-long race, and it's been proven once again.
Yeah.
All right. But you know what?
Yeah.
We get to see them race all over again coming up here next weekend. But before we do that, we got to pay some bills. We're going to wrap this up. I think we're done talking about Buggyland and everything here. It was a good race. I enjoyed it. I think Miguel is coming over to do some races in America next year. I just love when the Europeans get to race together.
Oh, I have one thing. One thing I want to.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
No, I want to ask. I don't want to tell. I want to ask. Okay, so Will was there. What was the thought on the, you know, American style 16-hour days? Because I think this must be new for all of the Europeans.
It was like this last year too. Maybe not as long.
Okay.
And
but I'm pretty sure it wasn't this long. But
back to back, but I was more interested. And then the back to back is what they didn't organize the races properly. Like they had too many guys. They had triple B mains, right? So they could have spread their triple B mains out to separate some of the nitro classes because some guys couldn't eat. Some guys were running like sportsman 40 plus, and then they bumped up, so they didn't have no time to go work on their cars, so they couldn't race.
Yeah. So what was like because sure, if this was an American race, it would be a dumb question, but no, everyone is used to this. But for Europeans, what was the feeling like in the pits? Because I bet some people are not sort of accustomed to this. I personally, I don't like this long days, but what was the feeling like?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, to be honest, wasn't a big fan because the days were just so long. And I feel like with the European races, because you're kind of most of the time in quite unique places, part of just going to these events that you get to kind of go to somewhere new and you have the evenings to go around and explore. Like that's what I've seen from the European races. But it kind of, I feel like for the pro guys, it wasn't too bad. I mean, practice day was pretty hectic. Qualifying, because the main started after 6, those guys went on those guys went on again until the next morning. So I think they pretty much were able to wrap up fairly easily and then rock up pretty late the next day. But it definitely seemed like for the lower end guys, like you were there for like 16-hour days, and I definitely think it was a bit tiring, but I think that's kind of the point of Buggyland, of trying to bring that American style to Europe. And I think that's kind of like what makes them different. Do I think it's the best thing? I'll be honest, I personally don't think so. But
I know you don't, because you have to work it.
So maybe I'm just being biased because I was there. Just like
no,
yeah.
I'll tell you what I think was the issue. It's not the American style of racing; it was the scheduling and format. So you can like when you do big entries like that, something has to suffer, right? And it wasn't. I don't know what the entry count was, but you can't do 3-minute warm-ups, and you gotta push that program faster because people want you gotta, if you're gonna run it like an American race, you gotta run it like an American race, and that's me. Go, you know what I mean? From the time you start to the time you finish, so you make up time. So you go out there, get your lap, 1 minute practice, 1 minute warm-up, boom, on the clock, grid them up like they counted down from 10 to the start. And I was just, which was better than last year, because last year, remember, they had the issues with the false starts. JQ got caught up in it. But I think that's it. And just adjust the sketch, adjust the format so people ain't running back to back to back. You are running AAA finals for the electric classes. You got Truggy, you got that. You can just spread it out. You just got to organize that better. And you got to, honestly, that 3-minute warm-up stuff, and all, that's got to go. It's too long. That 3-minute warm-up makes each qualifier is 5 minutes. That 3-minute warm-up makes each qualifier 10 minutes. each round 10 minutes. You know, so you gotta if you're gonna run it like an American race, you run it like an American race. You take away that stuff. All right. Anything else, Max? Now can we move on?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Up next, Sidewinder Fuel. Morgan Fuel has been collaborating with many of the world's top racers for over 40 years. This has enabled us to test our fuels in many of the most challenging situations and take development of competition fuels to the next level. The result is Sidewinder, the market's most powerful racing fuel. This fuel has been track tested and proven by national and world champions, including Ryan Cavallari, Ryan Mayfield, Greg Degani, Mark Pividius, and many more. These drivers, as well as Little Bump, let's not forget him. These drivers appreciate that Sidewinder is blended perfectly for the high performance needs of competitive racing. Don't let victory slip through your fingers. Purchase Sidewinder today. All right, upcoming races. We was talking about this. Reg GP coming up next weekend in Gusago. Ongaro's Kryptonite.
It is.
Ongaro's Kryptonite. If there's a track that is Kryptonite for Ongaro, it's this one. We saw an exciting race last year between Polito and Boots. And where Boots, I think, won it, and then they gave the victory to Polito on a crash, but I think he still won it. So that's coming up October 11th to 13th this weekend. They'll have coverage, but it'll be in Italian. We have the Alabama Manufacturer Shootout coming up in November. We have Masters of Dirt, which Will is going to as well this month in October. I'm not going this year, which is going to be good. We have Carpet Champs coming up in November, which is going to be great as well. And we have the IFMAR 10 scale EP electric power touring car. That was a cool picture seeing all those world champions too. We should have probably had that up her. That with like Reinhardt and Hagberg and Cavallari. Cavallari doing some on-road. I'm interested to see this. This is gonna be people were telling me that like Cav is still good. Like he can do it. Like he can probably podium this. Maybe not win it, but podium this.
You know, I wanna have a little interface here. I think thanks to him getting almost beat by JQ at the Worlds, he will have to retire from 8 scale. So he only focuses on 10 scale, maybe on road. Okay, that's all he does. Because I mean, come on, you're a paid professional, a world champion, and you get beat by JQ. Retire JQ. Not even like JQ.
Hey, everybody has bad days, and JQ probably had a better day. But I am interested to see him compete against some of the world's best 10 scale touring car drivers. That's happening November 5th to 10th at Bakersfield, California. And then, of course, we have the IFMAR 10 scale touring car worlds November 15th to 23rd at Huge RC, Bangkok, Thailand, which I am actually going to look forward to watching because it's in that big indoor facility. All right, let's go on to our Hot Race Hot Picks. Then we're going to wrap it up. Hot Race Hot Picks brought to you by Hot Race Tires. Check out Hot Race for all your tire needs. I see they're doing some other cool stuff as well, little widgets and gadgets. Of course, they have their bodies as well. Reg GP, they'll be there. That's coming up this weekend. Osby Team, Gusago, I've been there. Have you ever been there, Max?
I have been there, but never raced there.
Okay.
I've only practiced there.
We had the incredible final in 2023 with Polito not coming over the line first because Boots came over the line first.
Oh yeah, I should have.
And then they took it away from Boots.
But I actually wrote down. Yeah, I actually wrote that Polito came over the line first, but that's not even true.
When I went to this track in this, I think this is where the Ongaro Canas beef started at this race.
Yeah, definitely.
At this track, RCGP 2022. That's when they started. They went from, okay, we're friends to, all right, we're enemies. They had a lot of common togethers. They were both frustrated. I think, Ongaro was very frustrated at Canas. Or Canas, one of those two about the starts. I think we're going to get all the top guys there. I don't think like the KLINIKs are going. I think they're going to. Borok's coming to AMS, by the way. I saw that.
Yeah.
AMS is going to have a few Europeans, not a whole bunch, but a few. I think Boots takes this.
You think Boots takes it?
I'm going for Boots.
Dude, I think I don't think I've seen Ongaro be this strong. In 2018, he was like pretty much as strong as he is now. But I think he could be even better now that he was in 2018.
I wouldn't be surprised if he won.
So that's why I'm saying that I actually think like this is sort of the final test. If he can like win at his most kryptonite. Like this is the track that last time he went to, he actually left before the prize giving ceremony. He was so pissed.
Not happy.
Yeah. So he's like notoriously like this one is his kryptonite. So if he can go in here, beat Canas and Boots and Polito, and Boots and Polito are really fast there.
Yes.
So it's not like it's like Canas is probably not his biggest rival. It's probably Boots and Polito is the biggest rival. So if he can come on here and take this race, then I think like he's unbeatable at this level. If he doesn't win it, then I think there's still an opening for some of these guys.
Okay, that's fair. Will, wanna go out on a limb and make some predictions?
Is this for the Red GP track?
Yeah.
But is this the track Boots and the Reds guys like do most of the testing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm definitely going to chill on Boots here, but like I definitely feel like in the last few months like, he's kind of come back, and I know he's done so many laps around there. He's obviously knows it from the back of his head, but I think also kind of carrying from what Max says, and not to suck him off too much, but like he Ongaro is definitely on like the confidence train for sure, and like his package like just seems to be right there at the moment. So I think it's hard to count him out. I feel like Canas maybe I'm just judging him too much from Buggyland, but I feel like he hasn't been in the groove since. But that's only one race, so it's hard to say. So I don't know if Canas is going to kind of come back with a bit more vengeance and kind of try for everything at it. But it definitely seems like if he's not on the pace from the beginning, it's kind of like he has a long road to get to that point, and then by that point he's kind of making quite a lot of mistakes. But I'm only judging this off Buggyland, so that's kind of where I think.
Okay, all right. Well, I think it's going to be Boots, Ongaro, Canas, or Polito.
Which one is going to be Boots? You really think Boots is going to take it?
Yes. Boots, Ongaro, Canas.
I'm going to go for Ongaro, Boots, and Canas. So it's
Will's
almost the same.
Will's going Ongaro, Boots.
All right. I reckon Ongaro, Boots, and I'm going to say Polito.
Okay. Woo. Okay. Ooh. Good pick, Will. Good pick. Let us know who you guys pick. I will share the links for the live feed. It's going to be in Italian, guys. So I can't do nothing about that, but it will be some good coverage. And yeah, hopefully it's run good. And last time they raced at this race, which was the Italian race, it actually rained. All right. Well, I think that's it for our show this week. Show 190.
We need to crown our Whip It Wednesday winner. I checked who won.
Oh, who won?
So the winner of the first official NNRC Whip It Wednesday.
No, actually, Ryan Carter won it first, and this person will get a NNRC Donovan RC charge lead.
Okay, so this was the first official one. The first one was unofficial because we didn't have the jury. Here we had the official jury. So yeah, the winner was Tyler Jones. I think I tried to fight it. You guys were so convinced. I do believe. The other guy, I don't remember his name, but the other guy, I do think it was better.
There was
Tyler Jones won it, so maybe at AMS you can deliver this, or maybe
it takes a couple of weeks to get them done. So Tyler Jones has won an NNRC or a Tyler Jones charge lead from Donovan RC. You know what? We have a affiliate. We have a coupon code at Donovan RC. I think it's Nitro is the Glory, and you can save 10% on all your orders. So go check them out at Donovan. We have links for that in the written description. All right, guys, we are doing double duty. We're gonna go end this podcast and go record 299 right away. And the only way you're gonna be able to see 299 is if you're a patron or NNRC YouTube member. If you want to see it early, or you're gonna have to wait a few days for it to be public, because this is going to be all about the Euros, silly season, and a few other things. It won't be this long though, because we're supposed to do an hour and a half, and Max made it go long. Always Max. Anyway, I want to say a big thank you to all these companies and the NNRC squad around the world, and of course all the patrons and YouTube members. A big shout out to them. And remember, showing the sponsor some love, show us the podcast some love. If you wish to become a patron or YouTube member, please, it helps us out. A big shout out to Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Course Deck USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, KLINIK RC, Stacked RC, Racecraft USA. And remember, we have a October only special going on. Save 20% with code NNRC at KLINIK RC. And a big shout out to our affiliates RC Box Club, Call RC, Elite RC Productions, Florida RC Championships, RC Body Armor, House of RC, and 36 Mood. Guys, thank you for your time, Will. Thank you for your time, Max. I'll see you in a few minutes. We gotta go. Now we're getting to the podcast that I like to talk about. My return, my triumphant return to silly season.
He's back.
Much to the chagrin of that guy over there. Show 299. This is show 298. See you guys later. Nitrous Glory, E-Buggy pays the bills. We'll see you guys in a bit.